hear them ahead of time. So I'm actually going to launch into my evaluation section of the game. But before I do that, and before I cut you loose, I want to hear your take on this game. You've played it more than I have. What do you think about Don't Starve Together?
I love this game. Honestly, it's one of my buddies actually gave it to me as a gift because he wanted to play it with me, and I was like, first I thought, oh gosh, it's not my type of game. I'm a Call of Duty and Battlefield player, and those kind of games, and gave this one a try, and I loved it. I love it. I like the design of it, how it's the artwork in it was what I really love about it, and then the survival. It's like, honestly, I don't like Minecraft at all, but this feels like a Minecraft game.
Yeah, it is survival focused in
Sure.
much the same way.
And you can't go wrong. I mean, you can buy, I think, the package that has everything together for like $20.
Yeah,
Like Don't Starve, everything.
that's not bad at all.
I think it's that much at least.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. One of the things I really liked about this game, like the primary thing that I think this game did that, yeah, I'm agreeing with Dvorak. Actually, Dvorak. I don't know, dude. I apologize right now. I apologize. I speak Chinese. I speak English, but I do not speak anything remotely like Northern European, and I apologize. Yeah, they're pretty incredible. Like, for an indie company, this is exactly what they should be doing. Because it's simple graphics, like, all the graphics are really... And the gameplay is the thing I wanted to talk about. I think the gameplay is actually a really strong point of this, because everything is point and click. I mean, you're just pointing here, pointing there. And what makes this different from, like, a Facebook game is that... instead of like Farmville, like those things where you like harvest the bars so the bars grow faster. Like the point is to run into the dogs and to run into the food and like to think, well, how am I going to get to the next point? Like this is a game that in its simplicity actually lends to greater understanding, greater connections. Man, it's too late for me to do this analysis because I'm like starting to follow my empty words instead of meaningful ones. But I think the simplicity, as opposed to being like, I don't know, I almost find those like iPhone app games that are really just keep your fingers busy games a little bit insulting to intelligence, right? This game doesn't do that. This game like gives you really simple point and click controls and then gives you a lot to build from there. Ultimately, the point of the game is you lose, which is fantastic because like when you lose, you don't feel too bad about it, Like that was the eventual outcome, and the point was just see how long you can live. And from a buddy I had at work, I don't know if you remember, or you remember Jay. You work with Jay all the time. Jay plays Don't Starve.
Oh, he does? Man, I should have got him in on this tonight.
Oh yeah, that would have been sweet. He would have kept us alive for so long. Should, next time we do this, we should play with Jay. He says they usually make it 100, 200 days. I know that's a wide difference between 100 and 200, but he makes it at least over 100 and rarely over 200, he says. But, for us who are like, yeah, we made it 9 days, we're so baller, it would really be helpful. But I think that's actually the really cool thing about this game, and that's why I'm going to give it really high ratings when I get to the rating portion in just a minute. Actually, I don't have... So I actually pulled up the... don't worry about it. We're just doing analysis. So I think the fact that there's so much depth of gameplay, like, that you can play for literally hours and hours and hours, and it's still interesting, it's still new, there's still stuff to do, is incredible. I want to know what Dvorak means by the joy of watching you play was nice. We'll get to that later, though. Yeah, man. But I think, like, the depth of players of DS when they're just starting off, because we're like, all right, we're going to totally manhandle this thing, and then the dogs come, we're like, nope, we're dead. Not even, like, a half a prayer. Last time, I think the way we lived through the dogs was running away from them. Until, like, I got one of them alone, and I had a spear, and I kind of took it out. So, but that's entirely aside from the point. See, this is what happens when it gets late for me. I start getting all like ultra branchy and don't ever stick to a thought process and finish it. So one of the things I think was really good about this game, and I'm just going to start from the beginning on this thought process and take a different web this time, was it was really simple, but it gives you a lot of like gameplay. It gives you a lot of power, a lot of power that way. And it provides for an interesting long-term experience. The fact that they're doing it in multiplayer is amazing. Like, this is a great multiplayer game because you can...
Oh, yeah.
Like, single player, I imagine it would be entertaining, but it would be entertaining for, like, 6 to 12 hours top end. Multiplayer, this game could be entertaining for weeks. I mean, really easily for weeks. And for that reason, I think Don't Starve is actually going to get the highest score on my dollar rating so far. They, like, with really simple graphics, they created a picture that was really good. Their music is all really simple, and all their music meant something, which was really clever as well. They didn't waste time on lots of story. I mean, the story was basically just like... But there still were story elements, and the story elements were really, like, really subtle and well put together. Like, my character has this flower that occasionally I can click on, and it's just like, I have a twin that's haunting me. And really, this game's just kind of weird and off, like, puts you off base. And that's the extent of the story, is just to be like, this game's going to be weird, enjoy it. And I think that's great. Like, they took the story to the exact extent that the gameplay asked for, and that's exactly what this game type should be doing. So the highest game score I've given so far, I think, was $12, and I gave that to the Swapper. This game comes in at $15 for me. I'd pay $15 more than what they're asking, because if you buy the Don't Starve together, for $20, you actually get 2 of them. And so I highly recommend it.
For the $20, you get Don't Starve,
and
Don't
then you
Starve
get
Together, and a gift to give to a friend.
Yeah, so it's like 3 games for $23, and it's on sale even, because they're doing the OS sale right now. And so it's
for the mega pack for $17.24. Don't Starve, Reign of Giants DLC, Don't Starve Together, and then a copy of Don't Starve Together for a friend.
Yeah, dude.
So you're getting a
good
deal.
Usually what I do is I start out at my top score, which is I usually put a good game, a good indie game at about $10, and I say like that's a good indie game. I think that's what I gave Thomas Was Alone, and like that's a good average value for an indie game. And this game just went up and up and up. The only thing that I kind of complained about for half a second was the fact that there was this... The controls are just a little bit weird for me because I didn't understand it was a clicking game. And as soon as I understood that it was a clicking game, like, no problem, The only thing I really needed was the Q and E to rotate. And that's amazing. So the game... like I said, wins the highest score I've ever given a game at $15. Did I say 15? I actually wanted to say 18 at one point, but I'm going to be reasonable and say 15 for now. So yeah, check it out. It's pretty sweet. So Dvorak, who seems to know more about this game, says Reign of Giants was a massive content patch. Their dev roadmap says they're putting... Oh, crud. Reign of Giants into DST in 1.5 months. Oh, Don't Starve Together. Oh, snap. That's going to be sweet, man.
That's awesome.
That's way cool.
I guess I'll give...
Yeah, go ahead and do one more little thing. I just think that it's great that they're patching the multiplayer. This is exactly, like Dvorak said, this is exactly what an indie game should be doing. Releasing it, adding a patch, letting people buy, or not a patch, but like a thing. Anyway, content.
I wanted to go there so bad.
Yeah.
PAX is a convention. I don't know.
Yeah, I know PAX.
You know what PAX is.
I pay attention to stuff like that. Yeah.
I love this game series, honestly. I could get into this to the point where it'd be like one of my only games. But
like you have with
I'll do my
Pokemon
little...
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Pokemon and all that. I can give myself a little bit of rating for this game.
Yeah, go for
Not
it.
sure if I could do a dollar rating, but if on a scale of like 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, one being just absolute just garbage, I'd rate this I'd give it like an 8.5 to 9 almost. Um, and another indie game I could use for example is if you ever played Outlast. It's an indie game. It's a horror game, and
Dude, I don't play
it's
horror games.
terrifying. It is
That's
it's it
why.
is it's terrifying, and it's that that game got a 10 on my book. I love indie games like Outlast and Don't Starve, and I even played what is it called? I just spaced the name of it. It's another big horror game, an indie horror game, and that one got a 9. And then there's a few games out there that got a 1, but give this one like a out of a 1 out of 10, I'd give Don't Starve like an 8.5 to a 9,
Yeah, and
definitely, because it's
if it were just the single player, I think it would probably fall into about the $10 range. But that multiplayer and like being able to talk with each other, like think through things, that's valuable experience. That's exactly what games should be doing, like as a whole. And actually, I'm going to talk about my overall game theory for a second too, if that's okay with you. Did you have more you wanted to say about Don't Starve?
no, that's about the end of my thought process there.
Uh, all right, this is what I was going to do earlier, and I just was too lazy to actually do. So I like to pull up their website when I do my analysis. I just totally spaced pulling it up before the show. Um, so what I think about games is, first and foremost, if there's ever a point where the game becomes more important than the players, the game has missed its point. So like I play Magic, and a lot of people get into the game to the point where they're all about the cards and they're about the interactions, but you should never be playing Magic to play for the cards. You should be playing Magic to play for your friends, you know? And so like for that reason, going to pre-release events is my favorite Magic experience I've ever had. You know, because you go with a bunch of buddies and you stay up all night and it's stupid fun and you get to see the new cards and that's great, but really you get to spend time with other people who are playing the game. And so if it ever gets to a point to where you're like, you know, this is multiplayer game theory, I guess. For game theory, my overall game theory is that games are always teaching you. It's a learning experience, and learning has to both be enjoyable but also like produce something for you in the process. So you have to be able to take a minute and think about it and be like, okay, all right, well, I guess I did learn something about humanity, or I learned something about like, you know, all these different like potential things that like the important lessons you can draw out of a game, I guess. So a game needs to be either educating you in some way, or it needs to be drawing you closer to a community. And if it's not doing one of those two things, it's actually failing the main purpose of a game. Because that's why games were invented. That was the purpose of games. Was to teach like strategy and thinking, right? And to teach interaction between people. And that's one reason I've actually had a hard time accepting the first-person shooter as like the dominant genre, right? Because the first-person shooter is just this huge big deal, and it has been ever since Halo came out, or probably Unreal
A little bit before
Tournament.
Halo.
Yeah, Unreal Tournament is probably the actual thing. Just
Yeah.
to credit the right source, but the idea still is the same, that it's about people interacting with each other. And as long as it is about the people interacting with each other, and not so much about like these crazy raid strats, or as long as you don't begin to lose like a relationship with other players, as long as you don't start to think of other players as computer players, then the game's still fine. But the issue that I take with first-person shooters is that they often do devolve to like a, man, that guy, like, not even that guy, like, that just so noob, very noob, yes, and I no-scope headshot face. taking all the prepositions out makes it much more demeaning. Okay, I'm running out of brain power, but I do want to talk one more second about Don't Starve. The reason Don't Starve, like even Don't Starve alone, has like these elements of discovery and learning and like adaptation, right? Which is integral to survival, and that's one reason Don't Starve is so incredible, is it's already in itself in like a single player version doing that. And then you have Don't Starve together, and all of a sudden you're taking all those elements and you're applying them to other people and you're working with other people. That's exactly what a game should be doing. On top of it, they've done a very good job with their graphics, with their music, like everything, like the controls have obviously been well play tested. I saw one bug for like half a second and it corrected itself, and that was when I was making a server. Like, this game's psycho incredible.